Hey guys, what's up? This is Uri for Guerrilla Poker, and one of the most crazy call downs I've seen in recent history has occurred, the 200-400 tables. So in this video, I'm gonna do my best to break down the logic so it doesn't look so crazy. This hand was played at 200-400 with a $100 ante. Alex, who is a recreational player, raises from the cutoff. Daniel, who is high stakes reg at this point, although I don't think he was well known a year ago or 2 years ago. He was a very creative player versus recreationals in particular. He raises from the small blind and Alex makes the call. We get a 7-5-8 two-tone board, so definitely one that hits the caller's range more. And the way to conceptualize this is always to ask yourself, my advantage hands is a three-better, so aces, kings, ace, king, these types of hands, how are they doing here? And the worse you feel with kings and the worse you feel with ace, king, the better the board is for your opponent. So kings can still get in a stack here, but it's definitely not the best board for you. So starts with a check, turn the 10 of spades. Daniel checks again and Alex bets 2/3 pot, so kind of polarized sizing. He probably needs to have an 8 or a 10 to do this. River pairs a 10, Daniel checks, Alex shoves for 1.5x pot, and Daniel actually calls without going into the time bank, so he had a fairly easy call in his mind. And we see the showdown. Alex has 10-9 of diamonds, so he checked back an open-ender, a bit tricky, then bet his top pair and overbet shoved his trips, and Daniel had king-queen of spades, and this is where you go, what? So can we explain this call, and have I ever made a call like this myself? I'll start with the fact that I have made a call like this myself in a live game for probably like a 10x pot overbet I called with king high. The board was different. It was a much easier call, but the board was like 10-10, 3-3-4 or something, so definitely king high is worth more there. Let's quickly break this down and see, first of all, why does this call seem so crazy? And second, what was Daniel thinking when he made it? And we won't go into whether his thinking was correct or not. You can judge for yourself. But how do you get to the thought process of calling with king high here? So I'm going to start out with, let's put this board on Equilab. So first of all, I entered in the board in Equilab and I gave us king, queen of spades for accuracy's sake. And if you give the other person any two cards, which looks like this, and you hit evaluate, you see that you have 34% equity. You need 40% equity to call an overbet of the size it was in the hand. So certainly on the surface, we see why this looks crazy. You literally lose to the guy just closing his eyes and shoveling in money. So what kind of assumptions do you need to call king queen? So assumption number one would be, well, my opponent's not betting ace high. And if we do this, you see that you're already at 41% versus any two cards. But okay, I mean, the guy doesn't have any two cards, and he doesn't have any two cards in a deep sense. Now, why am I even starting out like this? Because you have to make some crazy assumptions to call king queen here. But let's actually go back to sane ranges, and we'll make some assumptions. So assumption number one is the other guy is going to show down his ace highs and his weak pairs, and that this size is going to be trips or better. And that mainly means that if we go and give him suited hands, he's going to have, say, something like this. Okay, and we'll throw in some, like an offsuit ace-10 in there. So this would be the reasonable value range that hits on a 10. And you might ask me, well, Uri, what about 10s and what about 10-8? And we can throw 10-8 suited in there. We can even throw 10s in there. But let's assume 10s would have at the flop, and some of Jack-9 and 10-9 suited would have bet the flop as well. So all of these are a bit discounted, but somewhere around this value range. And then we ask ourselves, well, what's the bluffing range? And the assumption we'd have to make here is that A, the opponent is quite loose, and B, when he turns a draw, he's going to bet it on the turn and then follow through the river frequently. So we can go and look at the board, 7-5-8, 10-10, what turns a draw like a 9 or a jack. So queen 9, king 9, queen jack, king jack suited. Throw all those in. And now we're just in the suited region, and let's actually take ace-10 off out, and we'll keep this analysis in the suited region. If he has the offsuit hands, presumably he has all of them, so it evens out, more or less. So, yeah, when we look at this, well, first of all, king, queen of spades, terrible blockers. But, I mean, we're not thinking about blockers. We're really thinking combinatorics at this stage. And this would be one analysis. We'll look at a few others in a second, but let's start with this one. So if we do this, you'll see that king, queen of spades has 44%. Which assumptions did we need to make? Well, first of all, he's not bluffing with ace high, because if we add an ace-9 and ace-jack here, down to 34 immediately. So not bluffing with ace high. And then we have kind of this straightforward value region, and we just need him to bet his queen-9, king-9, queen-jack, king-jack on the turn and follow through on the river. So this is kind of how you reach this situation. Like I said, you can't have any two cards for the opponent. So it has to be something like this. And you might have a bet sizing tell or a tell about the way the guy plays. Like, does he always bluff his busted draws? Or maybe 2/3 is not a strong size and overbet is. Maybe he loves bluffing paired boards. Maybe there's something with timing. Whatever it is, it was clearly not too applicable in this specific instance. But yeah, you're going for something like this. This would be the structure that you want in order to make this a call. And you guys can see how tough it is on this board with a 7-5-8 in there. If this were deuce 5-8, like the more disconnected it is, the more we can imagine hands that bluff that we beat. But here it really is just tough. Now, you could add a6, but you lose to a6. And that's kind of the issue that you run into with calling with king, queen high. If this call were made with something like an ace, king high, I could see it a lot more, because then I would be, well, oh, ace, jack, ace, 9, a6 might be in there. And now if we have ace, king, well, we're literally a favorite. Now, all of this big house of cards, but presumably Daniel was thinking something along these lines, and that's what led him to the call. So not betting thin with a pair, not bluffing with ace high, following through all of his busted bluffs. So whenever he bluffs the turn, he's going to bluff the river. Those things all put together would actually lead to this being a reasonable call and not as crazy as it seems. So you guys let me know in the comments if I've made a convincing argument for the thought process. Again, you can argue whether it's correct or incorrect as well. And I'm curious what you guys think. Personally, I feel like this is taking it a bit too far, but you know, Daniel knows better than most of us. He's definitely a very, very successful poker player. So we'll give him credit that he knows what he's doing, and I guess something like this. So if you enjoyed this hand, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time.